Well, hello. In this video, I'm going to show you how to test out a house after the plumbing final, after the trim stuff is done. Once the water's turned on, you're going to have to test this stuff because you don't want it to leak. Even a small leak can cause a lot of damage. You can ruin cabinets, it can get down onto the floor, pop up those hardwoods. I've even seen tile come loose because of water getting underneath it. Water can be very, very destructive. So you don't want any leaks. So let's get started. Well, of course, the first thing you're going to do when you're coming to test out a house or do your quality control or quality inspection, you're going to want to walk around and look and make sure there's nothing loose, that this is still connected, that all the toilets are set, everything's ready to go, and then you're going to come out here in the garage. Part of our standards is we always put a ball valve and a pressure regulating valve in the garage in this little loop out. Of course, it's insulated. So once you've checked everything, you're going to turn this water on. So you're going to turn that ball valve on. Now, most of the times, you're going to feel it right here, the water traveling through. And you want to be listening too for things running. But most of the time, somebody's flushed a toilet, so you're going to have a toilet filling up. And you can feel the water moving through this brass thing here. And it'll gradually slow down and those toilets fill up. But you're going to want to stand here, feel this, and make sure that water shuts off after a few seconds or so. If it's just still running and you're standing here for 3 minutes, you better go check because something could be spraying all over the place. But most of the time, somebody left a sink on. But that's where you're going to start. Well, start with your tub shower. Go ahead and turn that thing on. Well, looks like the water heater's turned off. Maybe we don't have gas or something like that, but it is never our job to turn a tankless water heater on. We've had too many of them freeze in the winter because they have to have power and they have to have gas, and if they don't have that, they don't know to protect themselves. So you're going to want to keep those things drained down. We don't even put water to them at all. We turn our valves off, hook everything up, and we leave it up to that builder. So we got a little drippy drip here because it's a pressure balancing valve. It won't work unless you have pressure on the hot side and the cold side. Well, there's a couple ways to remedy that. You can come over here and turn this sink on, hot and cold. And now we're getting a little bit of pressure out of there. But it's going to take a long time to fill up that way. But turn your shower on, plug it up, let it go. We're going to fill those tubs all the way up to that overflow, let it run down that overflow for a little bit, and check for leaks and stuff. You're going to want to check your toilets while you're here too. Go ahead and flush that thing, pick that lid up, shake it around, give it a rock, see if it moves, shake that tank, check your linkage in the back, make sure it's got a good flush to it, make sure these little floats in here sometimes can get twisted and that float can be riding on the side of that tank and it won't work properly. With your lavatory here, you're going to stop that up, you're going to fill it all the way up to the overflow. When you're testing out your sinks, you're going to turn both those on, you're going to let it fill all the way up to this overflow. Make sure that your little overflow is working, and then you're going to dump this sink a few times, which dumping it, you just pop the drain and let it go. While your sink's running, you're going to want to get down here underneath and feel all around this trap. Turn those nuts a little bit, make sure they're moving. And oh my gosh, do not do this. Don't do this. This is garbage. But back to what we were doing. Check around your pop-up rod here, and you can even stop this thing up and dump it from down here. You're going to look around those nuts. Make sure there's no little holes or blemishes in this overflow part here. I've had a few that were casted wrong and actually had a little bit of water dripping out of there. For your kitchen sink, you're gonna wanna locate these guys. You got a little stopper like that for your garbage disposal, and you've got your little basket strainer here. Make sure you line that up so it's actually stopping the drain, because you can turn it 180 degrees and it's just a little basket to catch food, but make sure you stop that up, off, turn it on. It's gonna be kind of hard to tell if you've got hot and cold reversed on this because the water heater's off. But you're gonna wanna let it fill up. Some of the guys like to take it and put it right there in the middle, that way it's kind of distributing the water to both sides. And you're gonna let this run, and you're gonna go to another bathroom and start testing lavatories and stuff. Just let it fill up. You might wanna check underneath the cabinet here just to make sure everything's hooked up. We'll look for leaks in a little bit. Your hall bath. Some of the houses we do now can have up to 5, 6, 7 bathrooms if they want to, depending on how large it is. You don't really see too many just 2 bathroom houses. Most of the time they're going to be a bath and a half with a little powder room. But it's real common for 3 bathrooms, and 4 bathrooms is pretty common as well. Now when you get to this tub, this little stuff, this little sheetrock paper and stuff, now the gypsum itself, the white powdery stuff, that'll get wet and kind of dissolve and go down the drain, but that paper's not going to go down the drain. It's going to get stuck behind this little stopper, and it's going to cause them to drain slow or even be a clog, and then you're going to get to the warranty process after somebody's moved in, and they're going to think that they just bought a lemon because the tub won't drain, and all it is some sheetrock paper up under the drain. But yeah, go ahead and turn this one on, get that shower running. You're going to want to look at the back of that shower head to make sure there's no water running down the back of it. And you're going to want to pull the escutcheon out from the wall and check in that little hole back there for leaks as well. But then flush your toilets, feel around up underneath them. It's the same thing. Turn your faucets on, let them fill up, dump the sinks. When you first get going with this, you're probably going to be running up and down the stairs, checking tubs. But once you do it a couple times and for a while, you kind of get to know what your tubs are doing. That's what's going to take the longest when you test in a house, is filling these tubs up. Same thing for your shower and your master. You're just going to turn that on. Let it run. Now, I've got a lot of fixtures running. I'm still filling up tubs and there's other bathrooms, so we don't have a whole heck of a lot of pressure. But with this, we're not really going to fill it up. We're just going to run it for a while. The longer the better. Make sure that plug is taken out of there, because there's a plug in that drain to test. Now, if you were dealing with a fiberglass shower, which this house doesn't have one, you're going to want to get in there and make sure that drain is tight. Your garden tub. Same thing with this, you're just going to turn it on. Now, there's no diverters, you're not checking any of that, you don't have a shower head. It's just a big soaker tub, and it's got a stopper drain here. Remember that sheetrock paper, if there's insulation, don't let that stuff go down the drain. It'll just get caught right there. But yeah, you're going to let this guy fill up too. Now, we just ran all those showers and dumped those tubs upstairs. Something you're going to want to do is go back downstairs, go to the room directly beneath it, and check the ceiling. Check the ceiling for water spots. It should come through fairly quickly. It's just sheetrock up there. But you're going to want to be checking that as you're trimming the house. Remember where those bathrooms are upstairs, and take a look at the ceiling, because if something's leaking on a tub overflow or something like that, it will show up downstairs. Go back to your kitchen sink. She's almost full. I choked her down a little bit, but she's almost full. So what we can do now is we can dump this sink, pop those drains. You might want to keep a towel or something with you, because you're going to be sticking your hands and stuff. I used to have this little metal thing I'd made out of copper, that I could pop those things and not have to stick my hands in the water. Now go ahead and get down here and just like the lavatory, run your hands around this stuff. Make sure there's nothing dripping, nothing around these nuts. Check them to make sure they're good and tight. Check this garbage disposal. There's no dishwasher here, so the plug should still be in there. Make sure you don't have any leaks. Check your supply lines. Check where they connect to the stops. Just kind of watch it. Another trick is you can blow on it. If you think there's a suspected leak, you could blow on it, and if there's any water, it'll ripple around for you, and you can see it a lot better. That's the old trick. But be patient. Spend some time with it. All right, our tub's all the way up to the overflow, and I want to show you this. Watch what happens here at the overflow when I pop this drain. It bubbled, and then I shut the drain back down, and now it's got like a vacuum. It's sucking it. That's telling me I got a pretty good seal on that overflow. But yeah, we're gonna drop this thing, and while we're doing that, we're gonna look around. We're gonna go in this closet behind here and make sure we don't have any wet carpet or anything like that. But with all that suction and pressure that we just had, I'm pretty sure that we're good to go on this one. Well, I wanted to go outside and show you some things, but it's pouring down rain, so I'm just gonna talk about it here. You're gonna wanna check your water heater. You're gonna wanna go ahead and take the cover off the bottom of that thing. Look inside, make sure it's got insulation, it's properly insulated, make sure everything's hooked up, the remote's hooked up, that you've got your relief tube coming down within 6 inches of the ground. Check, rub your hands around, make sure you don't have any leaks. Of course, you're not going to turn it on. We leave that up to the builder. Now, if it's already on and there's gas and power to it, and somebody else has already turned it on, then you'll be able to test to see what hot and cold's doing in your house. But you're going to check your spigots, your hose bibs. Make sure they're mounted with some kind of weatherproof screw. Don't use drywall screws because they rust, and in a few years that thing will pop off the wall. So make sure you got some good screws in it, make sure it's all up against the wall, and make sure somebody has caulked around the outside of it with some good silicone. Then go check your water meter, make sure it's level, check your cleanouts, make sure they've been cut down. If the grading's done, I mean, if it's all just a pile of dirt and there's no grass, you're not going to be able to cut your cleanouts down because you don't know where the level of that grade is. But if the grass and everything's there, those cleanouts should be cut down. I typically leave the one in the pine straw up just a little bit higher than I would the one out of the road. You want to try to get those things down far enough that the lawnmower's not going to run over them and chop them all up. But that's pretty much it. Testing out a house is relatively easy, but you got to be patient with it. And you got to test every single fixture all the way up to those overflows. You're going to want to dump these sinks 3 or 4 times, get down in that cabinet, feel around, look at your ceiling underneath those tubs, underneath those showers, and spend some time with it. You don't want a little leak to show up later on and cause a couple $1,000s worth of damage that you could have prevented in about 2 minutes. Well, you're going to pretty much end right where you started, right back here at this ball valve. Now, anytime we leave a house, we turn that ball valve off. Now, this house has been tested several times. I know this house is good. This house is almost complete, almost move-in ready. I'm not really worried about there being any kind of leaks, but you never know what could happen overnight. Nobody lives here. If something does go to leak, it could leak for several days and you not know it. So turn that ball valve off just in case. Now, if you did notice something was leaking, and this is our standard, our policy, go ahead and cut this loop. Just cut it right here above this ball valve, take that thing and flip it over. That way if anybody comes in here and tries to turn this thing on, It's going to blow down on the floor and give them some wet feet. Instead of blowing that water into the house where you might have something that is leaking or could be a potential problem, you don't want anything to damage this house. So turn that ball valve off. If there is a hazard, if there is a leak, if there's something that's not complete, go ahead and cut this loop right above the ball valve and point it down. So that's about it on how to test out a house once the plumbing final is done. Thanks a lot, guys, and good luck out there.